guys, we are back for chapter 26 of Book Scavenger, and chapter 25 was kind of sad. Clyde and Barry just found Emily and James, which is kind of freaky to think about because we don't know what they're gonna do. And then also James is sad because Maddie stole his cipher and then he got ripped up and it was really sad. So let's see what happens in 26. Here we go. James wasn't his usual chatty self on their walk home from school. Emily knew the cipher challenge would be a touchy subject after Maddie had ruined all his hard work, so she tried to distract him by talking about Mr. Griswold's latest clue. "So you don't know anything about Dashiell Hammett?" she asked. "You haven't heard of a park named after him or anything like that?" James was intent on watching a row of birds huddled on a wire overhead and didn't answer. Emily continued talking. "Every clue has led us to another book or story, so I'm thinking this one will too. Or here's another idea. Maybe there's an animal theme with the scavenger hunt. Gold bug, black cat, Maltese falcon." James gave a short huff and stopped walking. "You know," he started to say, but then something across the street distracted him. "Do you know them?" "Know who?" Emily scanned the people moving in and out of the stores and restaurants, the cars parked at the meters, the bus shuttling down the street. "That car," James said. "Those men look like they're staring at us." A long tan car idled up the block. The glare of the windshield made it difficult to see well, but the two torsos angled their way were clear enough. "Maybe they're waiting for someone in the dry cleaners," Emily said, but she was glad the car was on the opposite side of the street. The car rolled out of its spot. "Never mind, they're leaving," James said. They fell back in step, but Emily couldn't shake that feeling of being watched. When she looked behind them once again, she saw the car arc in a U-turn at the intersection. Those men were turning around and headed in their direction. "James," Emily said, "they're coming back." "What the?" James looked baffled for only a moment before the expression dissolved into seriousness. "Okay, let's go this way." James turned and headed towards Booker and the approaching car. "What are you doing? I don't think we should talk to them. I have a bad feeling about this." "We're not going to talk to them," James said, marching forward. "They'll have to pass us and turn around again if they want to follow." He was right. The street was lined on either side with cars parked at meters. The men couldn't even double park their car without stopping traffic. "Hey, we want to talk to you," the man in the passenger seat called out the window as they rolled by. Emily and James quickened their pace. "We're not going to hurt you," the man added. "Oh, well, now I really trust them," Emily muttered. "Come on, I know how we can lose them." People looked up from cafe tables as they raced by. A dog in the doorway of a clothing boutique yipped. "This way." At the next corner, James ran across the street and up a hill inclined so steeply they couldn't see beyond the first block. "Are you sure about this? I can't run very fast uphill." "Trust me," James panted. "We have enough of a head start. Keep running. It won't take us long to get there." Emily wondered where there was. Backpack straps gripped and head bowed, she bent forward and charged. She leaned over so far that her backpack was almost parallel to the ground. She felt like a turtle, and she was probably moving as fast as a turtle would run. The backs of her legs throbbed. Her bangs were matted with sweat. She kept her focus on the ground and tried not to think about how far she had to go or what might be catching up behind her. Her breath came out in gasps. She was afraid she might collapse, but then she looked up and realized they reached the top of the hill. A few more steps and the ground was level again. She wanted to lean against the closest building under the shade of a tree and catch her breath, but when she looked down the hill, the tan car rounded the corner. "Come on," James wheezed. Thankfully, he turned down the street they'd intersected, which was level. Their feet pounded the shadows of the trees, leaves crunched underfoot. "We're almost there," James shouted. Ahead, a line of cars slowly inched forward, a traffic jam. James reached the corner where the cars were all turning, and he stopped to wait for Emily to catch up. "We can take the stairs." "What's it?" The road curved sharply downhill in a zigzag path like the tracks of a sidewinder snake. At the bottom of the block, it resumed a straight path that could be followed all the way across the city to the bay and Coit Tower on the other side. "Welcome to Lombard, crookedest street in America," James panted. "Sorry we don't have time to take a picture." They took small, fast steps down the hill until they reached the stairs, doing their best to dodge tourists and pedestrians. A car honked behind them, followed by others like a cacophony of quarreling geese. Emily and James were more than halfway down the stairs when they stopped to look back. Over the hedge and hydrangeas that separated the road from the stairs, they could see the tan car had joined the parade, inching down the street. The passenger side door had been thrown open, and one of the men was running towards the stairway. The driver was out of the car too, slamming his hands on the hood and shouting. And that was when Emily realized who the two men were. Okay, I'm actually really glad that they know. And that's also the end of chapter 26. So, that was intense. So, I'll see you next time for 27. Bye!